Hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if this is your first time, welcome. Curiosity is something that I like to indulge in. I'm very curious, I'm a very curious person. And they say curiosity killed the cat. I'm not gonna kill you today. That's not something I'm gonna do. But I do want to share with you what made me start my journey and what my heart believes would have happened, or where I would be, where I believe I would be if I didn't start my journey. So back when I was in college, about 5 or 6 years ago, when I had this feeling, could be a little bit more than 5 or 6 years ago, but I was recognizing that I was having a lot of thoughts about my relationship with my dad. And I was realizing, how I was using relationships to fill this void, and how relationships were not filling this void. No matter how many I got into, no matter who it was, it's just like the relationships were not absolving me of that emptiness, that void, that darkness, that darkness, that abyss of feeling that I felt not having my dad in my life. And so I found myself thinking about my dad and my relationship with my dad, and realizing the trauma that I had in connection with him, and how that trickled into my relationships. And it was a recurring theme, it was a recurring thought that I was having. And I remember just being like, I need help with this. I need help to figure out what this is. How do I heal it? How do I mend it? Is there a way? Is this it for me? Was kind of the question. What do I do with this? I have to do something with this, because it was really beginning to plague my mind, and it was something that I thought about often. And I remember having conversations with my mom, and I would just be like, I need therapy. I need to talk to someone. I need therapy. And she would just be like, talk to me. And my mom and I's relationship, I grew up into this very codependent and enmeshed relationship with my mom. And so, she kind of framed it as we were best friends. Hindsight, now that I'm an adult, I don't really feel like that was necessarily completely true. It feels like it was more of a way to keep me close to her, to keep us bonded, but only under a certain frame of individual that I was. We were only bonded if I was a certain way, I was a certain person. But, besides the point, she would just be like, oh, you can talk to me. You don't need a therapist. Parents do. They didn't come from a generation, especially Black families and Black culture. We didn't come from this generation or mindset of therapy is good, therapy is right, go to therapy. So, she would just say, talk to me. And I would just be like, I need to talk to someone. And I got to a point where I had to become my own healer. I had to become my own therapist. I had to become my own savior, my own help. I didn't know at that time I was to be my own help. I didn't know I was my own savior. I was looking for someone, a therapist, a relationship, a person to save me from this feeling. I was looking for something outside of me to save me, something outside of me to just tell me what to do, make it right, help me fix this feeling, help me fix, cure me. And I never found that. And I had gotten into this sort of love triangle. And when I got into that love triangle, it threw me for a loop. And I was being pushed and shoved 2 different ways with 2 different people. And it was a messy, dramatic situation. And I remember I had a panic attack about it. And I remember one of them made me feel really good about myself, but at the same time it wasn't healthy, it was abusive. Another one of them made me feel bad about myself, but then at the same time she would make me feel good. Both of them were inconsistent, but one did make me feel better than the other. But I couldn't choose. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. So I was getting pulled between both of them. They're both kind of pretending and not pretending that they both don't know about each other, and I know about both of them, and I'm realizing I have to make a choice. And so it got to a point where I met my emotional threshold, right? Because like I said, I was using relationships. I never got a therapist. So I kept living life. And then this relationship, this love triangle, is what really catapulted me into, I have to change. Something has to give. I cannot do this anymore. And when you meet your emotional threshold, that is really a choice point, and you're going to know where that is for you, right? And if you've already met this, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you're going to know what that is for you. And for me, it just felt like I can't do this anymore. Like I just could no longer just keep going. I could no longer be pulled by my relationships. I could no longer be in the middle of this tug of war for really my spirit, who I am, my light, like my power, my energy. And so I cut both of these people off. I stopped talking to both of them, and I really focused on myself. And I started researching, and I started reading, and I started doing yoga. And as time progressed, I kept healing and I kept looking into it. I started taking courses. I started using YouTube, which YouTube is a place where there's a lot of information that people sleep on. Like, you can become your own self-healer. You can become a healer. You can become your own savior, in a sense, from using YouTube as a tool to better yourself. There is so much knowledge and wisdom and information on YouTube. It's insane. And so I used a lot of what I began using was YouTube, and I started reading books. And I was realizing, oh my God, this is why I was in that connection. This is what trauma is. This is how I arrived there. Oh my God. Like, I was realizing and coming into light about so many things. And from that point, God kind of stepped in randomly through tarot, through yoga. And after I started getting into tarot, that's when my life took off in a bigger way, where I got into a situation with my ex-best friend where she betrayed me. We lived together. I crashed my car. So my whole life started falling apart. And that's my manifestation story as well. After I started scripting, that's when my life fell apart. And that was that time. But there were the relationship thing came before that. And that was kind of like you need to make a choice, like get you in that energy. Even when I made that choice to cut them off, I did end up reverting in certain ways. I did end up going back to people. I did end up, kind of self-sabotaging and going back to what I was used to, seeking somebody else or thinking that, okay, this time will be different. But it never was. And so as time progressed, that's when I got into my spirituality, and I had to take a leap of faith once I ended things with my ex-best friend. And, I was going through all these things, and that's when God became my savior. Unbeknownst to me at that time, I didn't see him as a savior, but I felt that God was calling me. This was something that I was doing with God now. And my spirituality only up-leveled, deepened, increased from there because I've kept that contact. I began reflecting more, spending more time alone, being single for years, being single longer. A lot of times when we get out of, like I said, relationships, we keep seeking other relationships to fill this void, to feel this feeling of self-deprecation and self-absence. But really what my life was calling me toward and was calling for me was for me to get in connection and get in touch with myself, right? To see myself. And it's through these relationships and these dynamics and these situations serving as catalysts for me that I was able to keep choosing myself over and over, even if it took me some time, even if it was delayed, even if I reverted in certain ways, even if I sabotaged, I just kept choosing me. But what really kind of kicked it off for me was me recognizing that I needed help, right? I needed a therapist. Didn't find that. God came into the picture, but I also had to use myself. I had to, and I'm having to even allow myself to be used. As my spirituality deepened, my connection to myself deepened, my connection to the Most High Source, God, deepened. And that got me even closer to me. And so I'm in this now moment where I can say, That is really what made me start. It was a thought. It was an idea. And then a lot of situations came about in my life that kept reflecting to me, you gotta choose you. You gotta speak up through choosing you. But you gotta choose you. Keep choosing you. Let that go. Release that. Stop trying to hold on to this person. Stop trying to manipulate the situation. Stop holding on to illusions. And that just kept happening. And I've become a healer, but a self-healer for myself, first and foremost, especially. And this isn't something that I just woke up one day and was like, I'm a healer and I'm healed. I've had to go through situations and circumstances, disasters, destruction, darkness, the plight that is recovering my light, that is mending wounds, realizing wounds, going to the darkness that I have, the shame, the doubt, the fear, the anxiety, the lack, the all the things you could think of. And I continue to have to go through them to this day, right? Because people say it's an era, but really it's a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle, right? To be forever in self-reflection, to forever be connected and present with yourself, to learn to embody it as a way of being instead of something that's just part of a journey, you know? What do I believe would have happened in my heart? What do I believe would have happened if I did not start my journey back then? If I hadn't had that thought, if I hadn't started my blog, because, I have done many things. I started a blog, I had a podcast, I had a website. And so I started creating and doing things and really becoming my own person during that time. Before what happened with my ex-best friend happened, and then it just continued. I started speaking more, learning more, growing more. It was kind of just this trickle down effect from that one kind of thought that opened the door to many other things happening and leading me to this now moment. But what I believe in my heart would have happened if I never had that thought or even kept making the choice to choose me, especially after that messy relationship dynamic, I feel like I would have lost myself more. I heard indefinitely, and that sounds really scary and sad to even think about and say, but I do feel that. Like I was already lost. I was already confused. Even in college, like I didn't know my major. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt like I didn't really know who I was, what my hobbies were, what my interests were, like what I like to do outside of relationships, outside of trying to please other people, outside of connection with other people, codependence really with other people, outside of attachments to other people, outside of other people controlling me and telling me what to do or dimming my light or stopping my shine. Like I didn't know me. I had no connection to me, and I felt so incapable and I felt so less than, especially in comparison to the other people that I was around at that time who knew what they wanted to do, and they knew their majors and they were scholars and they were really into school, and I just was never like that. But I tried it. I tried that path, and it's only led me here to my true path. So I just feel like I would be, in my heart, I feel like I would be far gone. I feel like my heart would be hurting. It would be miserable. I feel like I would be stuck somewhere, maybe in the sunken place. And we say that, maybe as jokes, but it's a real place. It's a place very far gone where it's just like, I don't know anything anymore. And I would argue that I already felt like that. I didn't realize I felt like that until I started doing this work. But it's like, as things kept happening, I kept having revelations. And as I connected more to God and my spirituality, I kept realizing and seeing and noticing and acknowledging and releasing and feeling and sitting in that stillness and sitting in my own presence and sitting in the presence of God, that unconditional love. And God's love is reflective. It's going to reflect back to you who you really are. And that happened for me time and time and time again. And as you deepen, so does your relationship with Him. And when that deepens, you can't escape the reality of who you are, of your life. And so I was trying to escape the reality of who I didn't even know I was, but I was trying to escape who I was, who I thought I was, which I thought I was nobody. I thought I was insignificant, even though I've always had this light about me and I've always been pretty and I've always had this certain energy. It's like I did not embody myself. I did not see myself, though it may seem like I did if you knew me at that time, or if you see pictures of me on my Instagram, on my timeline. It's like it may seem like I knew myself, but I didn't. I was just a person. I was just a girl, and I'm still just a girl. But I've changed. And making that consistent choice to choose me has changed me. And so in my heart, I feel like I would have been unchanged had I not made that decision, kept making those decisions, had I not kept choosing me, had I not chosen to be honest about what I needed, and had I not chosen to be that person for me when I knew I couldn't afford therapy, when I knew that therapy was being kind of shut down by my mom, or it was being not really taken seriously, that therapy was a thing, where I didn't come from that. So I was like, okay, well, I just knew I had to figure out something else. I was not just going to subdue it and just, okay, well, I'll just let it go. I knew I had to figure out something else, and that something else was me. And if I stayed in that situation, in that circumstance with those people, I feel like I, on a spiritual level, would have died. And obviously this is my path, so I always would have gotten back on it. I always would have been this person and come to this point. But it would have prolonged, and the suffering would have went even further. And I think that abuse in certain connections would have gotten worse, and my connections would have gotten worse, and thus my connection to my heart, my disconnection, even maybe the hardening of my heart would have came. And so starting my path and continuing on it despite has really allowed my heart to open and soften despite, and it's fortified me. I've walked through the fire, through so many connections and through so many circumstances and situations, and it has created this heart posture that is so real, and it's genuine, and it's raw, and it's grounded. Had I not chosen to believe in me, even when I felt like I didn't even know who me was or what believe in me even meant, my heart posture would not be where it is today. I think I would have had double, maybe triple the work to do, and I'm grateful that I chose this path, that I chose to keep choosing me, that I didn't give up, that I haven't given up, and that God has been guiding me and leading me and holding me this way. And I really am a testimony for God's glory and my good, because without God, I am nothing. I needed God because I was in the dark in a lot of situations. I faced a lot of betrayals, a lot of backstabbings, a lot of unhealthy connections, and I'm not blaming it on them, because I've also been unhealthy in certain ways. I've also done things that were selfish, or that were mean, or that were harsh, or that might have been, late, delayed, and made somebody else feel away because I was late, because I was delayed, because I was mean, because I was, in this state of my own inner turmoil. And I think it's important to acknowledge this, because I feel like there are many people out there who want to change their lives, and they want to see something different. They want to feel something different, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to feel something different. I wanted to change, and I have, and I do feel different from that time. A lot of people think they can't do it like I did. They think they're not capable like I do, like I did. Right? Because these thoughts don't just disappear after, oh, okay, I did it. No, you have to keep at it. You have to remain in presence with yourself. And I just want to be, and I feel like I am, a testimony to others, to life, that you can grow from this. You can grow from it, whatever it is for you, whatever this is for you. You are not stuck. You are not trapped. But you have to keep making the choices that are best for you. Even if that means cutting off your best friend. Even if that means cutting off the community you've known all your life. Even if that means separating from your family. Even if that means being judged. Even if that means being talked about. Even if that means hatred. Even if that means you have to feel fear. Even if and even when. Because that is what is going to strengthen you and fortify you and lead you, direct you to the path that you are truly meant to be on. And just know it's not over for you. Even if and when you feel like it is, it's not. Truly, it's just a beginning point. The ending is the beginning. So keep going, and I'm rooting for you. And I'm not the only person who can have this life or be this person or do this thing. Anybody can do it. But, God doesn't, God doesn't qualify. God doesn't qualify the called. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Let yourself be molded. If you don't let yourself be molded, you will not be molded. That's just what it is. God can't get in your body and force you to do anything. But if you let yourself be and realize who you can be, who you could be, remember who you are, it's available to you, just like it's been available to me. Thank you so much for tapping into this video, and definitely go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe if this connects to you. If you relate to this, I would love to connect with you. I would love to hear about your experience. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye.